You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by Referral Mortgages and Blue Panda Realty, with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate in our nation's capital.
Good day.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
Good day. Welcome back. It's the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. My name is Paul Stevenson. I'm here with Greg Campbell, here with David Warren. And we just love real estate in Ottawa. Come here to talk about it every week. We just show up, we talk about real estate, and then we get to work.
Just love the
I'm one of the owners of Referral Mortgages in Ottawa, also a mortgage agent. David is my business partner. He is also an owner at Referral Mortgages and a mortgage agent. And Greg Campbell, partner, realtor, Blue Panda Realty.
Yeah.
Hey, quick shout out to North Brew, northbrew.ca, coffee sponsor. Head to northbrew.ca, use the promo code podcast, and you can get 20% off all of your coffee orders, and 20% of your purchase actually goes towards the homeless community and provide them food, shelter, etc. So good cause, good coffee. Good day, gentlemen. How are we? What's going on?
Great. I think David's doing a little bit better than I am, though. He's in lovely Florida. What part of Florida are you in?
Fort Myers. So my wife and I, we flew down yesterday with our 2-month-old. We got his shots on Wednesday, his passport a week ago. It's hilarious. An infant having a passport, which apparently is good for 5 years. The same photo of him at 4 weeks old is good for 5 years because obviously they'll look alike and in a couple. But flew down yesterday, was actually was surprisingly good. Got in yesterday mid-afternoon. Here for a little bit, just work from here. Looking forward to it.
Fort Myers is pretty sweet, eh? That's pretty far south.
Yeah, it's about, like, we flew into Fort Lauderdale because there's direct flights with Flair Airlines, actually, like dirt cheap flights, and it's a 2-hour drive. So I just rented a car from the airport and drove here and dropped it off at the airport in Fort Myers, just because the options for flying were ridiculously expensive or connections all over the place. So
now,
for our first foray of flying with the infant, we wanted direct no matter where we were going. It's just like, a few hours direct. Let's feel this out, how it's going to fly. But
did Oliver get a little taste of Casablanca while in Fort Lauderdale?
He did not. Not yet. In due time. Greg,
Casablanca. You have to go if you're ever down there. Nice little jazz lounge, live music, right on the beach. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm Florida's on the top of my list right now for travel. Like if it's American travel, I used to go a lot to St. Petersburg when I was a kid with my parents, Sarasota and around there, Tampa. But Fort Myers looks good. Looks good, man. You know what? I'm just going to jump into something quickly since we're talking about Florida.
Sure. Okay.
Let's talk about this. I'm going to bring this up quickly, everybody, and then I'll talk more about it next week because this came across my desk from a friend of mine, Janelle Sloan, on Facebook, who's big into the crypto and NFT market. So there's a house being auctioned off as an NFT in Tampa. It's a little bit of a 2-part thing here because it still has to be registered physically, obviously, for the ownership to change, for the deed, title. So there's talking about, I'll just read it briefly. A home in Florida could be the first house sold as an NFT, non-fungible token. For those that don't know too much about it, it's been super hot all over the last year and into this year. Read up about NFTs. The 4-bedroom house located in Tampa Bay will be put on the market by our local realtor as an NFT on Tuesday. It will have property rights minted as a digital token and sold for a minimum bid of $650,000. So, and they say it's an exciting venture into what possibly could be the future of real estate. Now, this is really interesting. Again, I'm not going to go into this too much because I need to get some more information before I speak about it properly. But there's 2,000 people that are registered for the auction already. So this is happening tomorrow, and it's very intriguing just because of the fact it's a home being publicly auctioned as being minted, the property rights being minted as a digital token for a minimum bid of $650,000. Now, with so many people into NFTs now, and how this is the first home that's being auctioned off like this could just blow records away And, I don't think it would skew the market too much, but people are going to have to understand that it would be more of like a, what's kind of like a trophy buy for somebody
Novelty.
getting the first NFT,
A
a total
buy.
novelty. So I'm really intrigued in seeing where this goes. Anyways, there'll be more. I'll talk more about that next week, and I'm also going to talk about the company that's doing it. It's called Propy, and it's an online property shop basically that sells real estate, and it was awarded a technology pioneer by the World Economic Forum. So I'm going to do a quick breakdown of that. It's a US company, but I think it's still relevant because it'll be something that will be in Canada at some point. Anyways,
I need Ben Stiller. Hey,
I haven't read the article.
So hot right now.
I haven't read that article, Greg. I'm curious though. So they're selling a physical home, in Tampa, but the deeds are going to be an NFT.
So it has to be registered physically as well. This is the weird thing. This is what I don't understand. And it's like being minted as a digital token. It's like a hybrid, I guess. And then they're saying that someone's also going to a local artist is going to do a mural on a brick wall in the house of the property or something like that. And that will help solidify the actual digital asset in imagery. Like I don't know. That's why I'm saying I'm going to dig deep into this because I want to be able to speak about it properly next week. But I just thought it was really interesting because it came to me and it's happening tomorrow. So next week, everyone,
I might have to take a drive to Tampa today and go check out this.
There you go. There you go.
That's wild.
Anyways, so that's that.
That
great
is
show,
that.
guys.
That is something. Yeah.
Well, Ottawa.
So we last week we were talking about many things, but one of the things we talked about was first-time home buyers being gifted or lent funds. I think it was 20%, right? 20% of first-time home buyers were gifted funds for their down payment. And one of our listeners made a comment, says it's half. And I know, Greg, you already responded, but I think for the general, for everyone listening, if half of the first-time home buyers are being gifted or lent funds from their parents who are accessing these funds through reverse mortgages, refis, I'm assuming, does this explain why many parents are stuck in their homes and cannot sell them? As I understand that if they leave their homes, they would be forced to buy a new one and take on a new mortgage. Is this partially contributing to the reason why housing inventory is historically low?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's a part of it because I've spoken with two families who they were on their way out to downsize, and instead they took equity out of their property and gave it to their kids so that they could get into home ownership. That's two experiences with me personally. So, I mean, is it part of it? I assume, it has to be. And now they're not selling, they're staying because they don't want to take on another mortgage for themselves by, or selling, splitting that half for them, half for their kids, and then being into another mortgage. So they're just staying where they are for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think one thing in there that to clarify, when he says reverse mortgages, a reverse mortgage is a product that is a mortgage product, and it's different from refinancing. So a reverse mortgage is something that is sometimes used by elders, and I don't know if he's referring to that.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure if that's what he meant by reverse.
Yeah, reverse mortgage is typically if your house is paid off, depending on the age, you can pull out equity up to typically around 55% of the value of the home and not have to make any monthly payments. The payments are accrued onto the mortgage. And when the person passes or sells the home, then those payments are then paid out. So for people that are retired, they don't have maybe their retirement is in the property, but they maybe are only on OAS or CPP, and they can't qualify for a regular refinance. They would go through this, leveraging the equity in their home, and they can either get it as that equity out as lump sums, or as they could set up on monthly payments as if they're getting a pension, and then the interest that is accrued is tacked onto the mortgage, and when the house sells, that's repaid. So that is something that is out there. There are some Home Equity Bank and Equitable Bank offer these products. That is completely different from refinancing. Refinancing is qualifying for a mortgage and pulling out that equity. Now, I think so I wanted to clarify those two different things. I think to to his point, and to yours, Greg, there are a lot of people that are accessing equity to gift to their kids. I think the problem is that, there is low inventory on the market. It's kind of a snowball effect that, long-term care homes are still in disarray and have been in the last 2 years. So that segment of the market that would have been moving into long-term care homes, things like that, or retirement communities, they either building them has been delayed or been stagnant, or there's just no availability of long-term care homes, or people not wanting to move in there because of the rampant issues. And so people are staying in their homes for those reasons. And then other aspects to it of, maybe they're pulling out equity to gift to their kids. Or if they're, depending on how much equity they have, that's not necessarily leaving them in their home, because they're gifting maybe $50,000, $100,000, and maybe their home's worth, the average in Ottawa is almost $750,000. I don't know that that's fully keeping them at home, but certainly low inventory is, for anybody, people that would normally be listing and either downsizing or moving elsewhere, aren't doing so because there's just nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see on TV, if you're watching the hockey game or something, you'll see the chip reverse mortgage come up. That's typically one of the brands that I guess everyone knows. Kurt Browning, I think, was their spokesperson for some time. So if you ever saw Kurt Browning in a commercial in the last few years, he's probably for a
figure
reverse
skater?
mortgage.
Is that the figure
skater? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm keeping it topical with the Olympics on right now. So, that's it's interesting. And I actually, when I read his comment, I made maybe the wrong assumption that he was referencing refinances and didn't understand the terminology, but he might actually he might actually mean reverse mortgages. So, sorry, Bichero, for unassuming.
If he's listening, he can clarify in the comments.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I want to know what the B stands for. He comments every week. I need to know what the B is.
It's just B. It's just like Ronaldo. It's just one name. Just B. It's just a letter. B. What up, B? So, Greg, numbers. Everyone wants to know, where are we sitting?
Okay, so I got to apologize. I had big plans for this week doing the downloadable PDF that I was going to do, and I got a little carried away with it. So I needed to regroup and structure it a little bit better, and I did not get that done.
It's being released as an NFT.
Pay close attention. It's coming soon. It'll be released as an NFT.
We're actually releasing a TOREP crypto
next week.
TOREP crypto launching this week.
It's that easy. Starting our own blockchain. So this is good. In the last week now, there's 216 active. Actually, I don't know if that's active. That includes sold. There's 216 total between listings, sales, and conditional sales. 600. I'm going to assume about 500 of those are sold, kind of similar to last week, because the Matrix, the MLS system that I use, it's been super, super slow for me for the last 24 hours. I'm not sure why. When I try to do big data grabs. So we can blame the board for that. Not me. It's got nothing to do with me. 650 rentals though, still. So the rental market is still hopping. More price reductions I see in that. A lot of people sticking, but I'm looking at the average days on market for rentals, and it's getting up there.
I wonder for the rentals if they're downtown core, and people aren't exactly really jumping at that. Probably rentals.
They're all over the place. They're all over the place, man. Like there's a lot out here in Orleans, and and in the suburbs. I mean, it's a lot of people, a lot of investors bought last year. Yeah. And now they're trying to find tenants, and I guess there's just not as many people. It's just like there's so much, not enough supply for sale, tons of supply for rental properties. So if you're coming to Ottawa, you may want to just rent for a bit, because it'll be easier than getting into a bidding war with some of these properties right now. Until that changes, I predict that's going to change in the next few months. It's going to balance out big time. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Big time. How? So you had some numbers, Greg, I think from RBC as far as this year's growth, but let's throw some numbers out there. What are you guys thinking as far as, Greg, you think it's going to balance out, like prices are going to balance out?
Yeah, more supply. They have to. I mean, the same thing happened last year, right? Everyone, and remember we kept talking about everyone was, the people that waited until like May, June, they were like way late to the party in terms of getting the crazy increase in price for their home. I think the same thing's going to happen this year. And I think it's going to be less in terms of the difference between list price and sales price than it was last year. Because it can't, I mean, it has to stop to an extent. RBC, that post that they put up, that article saying that they're expecting 6.8% increase this year. That's substantially less, than 25%, and then 0.8% over for into 2023. And I think that's very realistic based on the history of Ottawa, where you get these skyrocketing gains and then it plateaus, and it'll plateau for like 5 years. We could have a 0.8, 0.2, 0.1 for the next 5 years after the end of this year. And that's nothing new. So for anyone that's buying now, and again, I've said it before and I say it to all my buyers now, like, I hope you plan on staying in your home for 5 years at least.
Yeah. I mean, I know we talked about this on the show before, but the first place I bought it for $212. It was a townhome. 7 years later, sold it for $217, and $217 was a record on the street. So, over 7 years, it only went up like a fraction, like what, 2 to 4% roughly, which is, it's better than going down 2 to 4%. I'll tell you that. But it certainly isn't 20 or 15 or 10. So I think what you're trying to say too, Greg, is like, if you're buying now, don't expect to just flip it in 2 years and make a, 200-300% profit. It may take another 10, 15 years. My personal opinion, I believe that we're still in a really massive supply issue. And I think there's still a lot of people migrating to Ottawa and to Ontario. So I would say this year, we're probably going to see something. My guess is somewhere in between, somewhere between 6 and that 25. I'd say probably somewhere between 10 and 12% increase in values this year. And then I would say next year, we'll probably see it bounce out as, I think there's definitely been a spotlight now on the lack of supply, obviously, and the lack of construction and the costs associated with construction and permits and everything else. So I think there's a lot of light being shone on that, which should hopefully force some change in those regulations, which then should allow people to build faster, which should hopefully balance out the market a bit more in the next 12 to 18 months. That would be my guess. I think also rates will probably continue to go up, which will, maybe slow the market down slightly. So just a combination of a bunch of different things, but I would say this year we're probably going to see similar growth.
And I think right now that there's a lot of buyers who should be, they're not wrong to do it, but I think they should be considering renting, like, and just putting it on hold. Like those rentals that are out there now, those are all going to be gone by summertime. I think the rental market, I think people coming to town or listening to shows like this and just, forecasting whatnot are going to be kind of like, you know what, let's just wait and see where this goes. Let's get into a rental, instead of trying to fight this, this beast.
And wait for the fall market when it bounces out.
Yeah. Like, waiting till summer. Like, if we have a more traditional summer market, like we did last year, which was amazing, and people got deals at the time, I hope that happens again. I'm predicting personally that it will happen again, but those rentals are all going to be gone. And, I think a lot of people are going to take a pause. And I think that's going to be a part that slows down this crazy increase in value as well.
Yeah.
Because people are they're frustrated, right?
Speaking of frustration or crazy values, a good friend of mine reached out yesterday. He had a listing on a detached home in Stittsville.
Came across your desk.
Yeah, came across my desk. He stepped in my office and slid it across.
Dave, do you have a minute?
A single detached in Stittsville. Similar home in December. For context, similar home sold in December for $850. Single detached 4-bedroom home. He listed it. He listed at, he said 800. Expecting in that, 850 to probably 900 range, based on that comparable. And over the weekend, they had 54 showings.
Wow.
They had 19 offers, and it sold firm at 1.01 million. 300,000 over asking.
Now let me interject here as well. This property was built in 2002 and it has no upgrades. It's an original 2002 Hollitzner home, backs on green space, which is great, but you could sink 200,000 into this in minutes.
Probably got the wood cabinets in the kitchen, the oak wood
they
cabinets.
got the wood furniture.
Yeah.
It has carpet. It looks like it's 2002 blue carpet. It's crazy. 1.1 million. Man, I hope they're going to live there till they are gone.
But it really does feel like deja vu. And I've been meaning to go back and listen to some of our shows from last January, but I feel like this is exactly what we said. Like, this is exactly what we saw last year, 20 offers, homes going for 100, 200, 300,000 over asking. And then, like you said, Greg, it kind of tapered off probably around April. And then come August, people were getting crazy deals. We were telling everyone to buy. And then the market, became scarce again in October, November. And then now we're right back where we were last year. So based on that, I would assume, like you said, we'll see more supply coming on in the spring, everyone looking to get those big gains. And then lo and behold, the market balances out because there's more supply. So people aren't getting the 20 offers anymore. They're getting 2 or 3. They're not getting 200 over, they're getting 20 over, and it starts to balance out. And then people aren't as aggressive on their offers, and it slowly kind of bounces out. So we'll see what the next few months bring.
The one thing that's interesting is, and I know from a number of people, realtors and on my side, a lot of clients are coming from the Toronto area. I think right now I'm working with 5 to 10 clients that are relocating from Toronto, where their values have gone up dramatically. They have anywhere from 500,000 to 700,000 in equity. Their jobs, are remote, or they're in tech and getting relocated. The market is higher in Toronto. I've got one right now. They live in Toronto. Their tech company is actually based in Ottawa. They want to buy. They're first-time home buyers. They said, you know what? It's actually more expensive here. Why not? Our company's anyways in Ottawa. So they're coming here instead and putting that money. Others sold in Waterloo, again, 700,000 in equity, free and clear, that they're relocating here. I've written over the last few days, I think about 5 different pre-approval letters for them because they came over the weekend to look at places and they were just firing on everything. And literally we're like coming, just like they would see it. Fire, like it didn't matter. Wife, his job's remote. Wife on mat leave, isn't sure right now. But a lot of people coming from Toronto, which is, I think it's interesting because it shows that our market is still that much lower than Toronto, and that people are still willing to relocate for jobs, the market based on housing pricing. But because of, their jobs are either remote and they're able to relocate easily, and it's a market where they're able to get into. Or just that price of, not only just price of housing, but just cost of everyday life, whether it be groceries or food or, dinners out and all that, Toronto being more expensive from a day to day. So it's, when people ask about, and we talk about all the time, people asking like, is there room for Ottawa to go? Once you factor in not only the differences between people coming from those markets to ours because of not only housing prices, but also those other day-to-day living expenses, it is a drastic difference. And I think there was an article this weekend in the Globe talking about the biggest, that Vancouver and Toronto saw the biggest migration out of their cities than any other city in Canada, which is obviously makes sense because they're the 2 most expensive markets. But it's really interesting. Then, and today there's an article talking about Kingston was the biggest gain in Ontario, fastest rising home prices in Ontario. We talked about Carleton Place being the biggest growth, which was 3.8 as far as the population, but Kingston having the biggest year over year growth, and it grew at an aggregate price of a home in Kingston increased 38.1% year over year in the fourth quarter of 2021. So from fourth quarter 2020 to 2021, it grew 38.1% to 722,000 in Kingston, while the median price of a single detached home went up by 44% to hit 780,000. So that's not even that's townhomes and everything. Aggregate price would be condos, townhomes, detached at 722, but the median single detached in Kingston 780,000, which is wild.
Important to keep in mind too. Like, if there's one thing we know about human beings, it's that once you're in a certain environment for long enough, you just become like everything becomes normalized, right? So if you've been in Toronto and every single family home you're seeing is 1.6, 1.5, 1.4, you come to Ottawa and you see a 4-bedroom single family home, half-acre lot, for $1 million, you're thinking that's a steal, so their pricing in their head is, at least for Toronto residents, is much different than Ottawa residents.
And to your point, Paul, I'm reading on in this article, the next paragraph, considering that the average condo in Toronto is now over $740,000 and a single family detached home price are just under 1.6 million. And that's still quite reasonable for young people looking to upgrade from renting.
Reasonable.
Yeah. Something that's proving increasingly impossible in Canada's largest city. But that goes to your point, Paul, at 1.6 for, in Toronto, this isn't the tertiary, markets, but a single family detached of 1.6 and an average condo at 740. So you're talking probably 800 square feet less for 740,000. That single detached in Stittsville, 4-bedroom, yes, it's, original for 1.1, like that's not 1.6. That's a big, savings, if you will.
And lifestyles are much different as well. And what people value as far as living space. Like I was speaking to one of our friends, Dave, who lives in Australia, and he was saying like his dream right now would be to live in Tokyo in a 700 square foot condo, and that he said that would be like $2 million right now. So, it's all relative to where you are and what you want and what you're willing to pay. But it's the same reason that people from Toronto are coming to Ottawa, and Ottawa looks attractive. Is the same reason people in Ottawa are looking to Russell and to Oxford Mills and places like that, because they're getting way more for their money. Yeah, or East Coast, because they're getting way more for their money based on what they perceive to be a home value at that price, right? So like a $600,000 home in Ottawa 10 years ago would have been like a 4-bedroom single family home in Avalon, and now that's getting you like a townhome or a row house or maybe a new build.
A good deal on a townhome.
But it will still get you an acre lot with a nice single family home in Oxford Mills or somewhere out there. So it's the same thing. People from Toronto are seeing Ottawa as an opportunity, and people in Ottawa are seeing these outskirts as an opportunity, and it'll keep rippling out as the supply issues remain.
And Vancouver sees Toronto as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Or that is the discount. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it's, it's mindset. But I mean, regardless, it still comes down to supply and demand. At the end of the day, it's like anything. You remove the supply, and the demand is there. The price is going to go up, and we see it at the grocery stores. We see it in housing. We see it everywhere. And so it's just, really a matter of what's going to be implemented to help to increase that. What's going to help?
And there was still. And it was the biggest, it was the least supply of housing in Canadian history last year. Like, and people talk about, it's a bubble, it's going to crash. It's like, well, no, the main fact is that it was the least supply of housing ever in our country last year. So, will it change? I suppose when a lot more people start selling. And I think, to be Sharon's comment again, I think that demographic of people looking to downsize and elderly who've just been kind of on pause since the pandemic, hopefully they'll pick things up in the next couple of years.
Let's just say if we had too much supply, we wouldn't be dealing with highest prices in Canadian history.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's that simple, but if we had, 500,000 homes for sale right now instead of 100,000 in the country, we wouldn't be having these same conversations.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
that's what we're here for. Toe rep. We're here for you, humans.
Let's slide into the boost here.
Boost me.
We need a boost. I need a boost. So I got 4 today. I could have 5, but I'm not overly thrilled with one of them. So I'm going to go with 4. And one of them might be a repeat. So I might be a bit off today. We'll see how we go. Number 1. Did you know that England does not have a kidney bank, but it does have a Liverpool?
Yes.
I like that one.
Keeping it international, German sausage jokes are just the worst.
Yes.
Have you heard about the new restaurant called Karma in Ottawa? There's no menu, but you get what you deserve. And last but not least, Helvetica and Times New Roman walked into a bar Get out of here, shouts the bartender. We don't serve your type.
It's good.
I like
Last
them.
two were good.
Four. I think you're hitting them.
4 for 4?
4 for 4, I'd say.
Pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Wow. Amazing.
Pretty good.
Anyone still listening? Thank you. We appreciate you. We will be back next week. We air these shows every Tuesday at 10 a.m. If you haven't already, please subscribe. That way you'll be notified anytime we release a new episode. And we do try to have kind of a shorter breakout. So if you don't have a full, 30 minutes or so to watch the show, we usually do kind of a 5 to 7 minute excerpt from the show so you can kind of catch up on the highlights. And as always, we just want to say thank you to Steve Hopkins, our producer extraordinaire, and also to North Brew Coffee, northbrew.ca. If you put in the promo code podcast, you can get 20% off all of your coffee orders, and 20% of your order goes to the homeless community here in Ottawa. And gentlemen, any closing remarks? Anything you want to leave our listeners with this week?
Nothing. Just keep at it. Keep at
fighting
it.
a good fight.
The show. Just do it. If you're ready to buy. Just make sure you have all the information before you pull the trigger.
We were going to take that slogan, weren't we? Just do it. That was our slogan last year.
Oh, yeah,
no one has that. We'll get some t-shirts that say just do it on it. Toe rep,
Toe rep. Be informed.
Yeah, there you go.
Be informed. Stay informed.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. We'll be back. Enjoy your week. We love you. Deuces.
All right.
Deuces.
Bye.
Later.
The Ottawa Real Estate Podcast is brought to you by Referral Mortgages, Blue Panda Realty, and Stephen Hopkins Video. Thanks for tuning in, and please remember to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you.